Another key capability of the Infoblox network automation platform is ensuring standardization and security policies across your organization, whether it's external mandates like PCI, HIPAA, or SOX, or whether it's for internal best practices or security policies in your organization. You can do all of the compliance and standardization monitoring within the Configuration Management tab and the Policy Design Center. Maintaining standardization and compliance is very easy within the platform by following a very logical workflow. First, you create a rules, typically an individual requirement that you want for a certain parameter. Building policies is taking two or more of those rules and building them into a specific policy. And then thirdly, taking them out and deploying them to your different devices. For most organizations, typically a device may have multiple policies, and you need to make sure that you can deploy the policies based on devices that you want to manage and based on their individual requirements. You want to have sufficient capabilities of monitoring the compliance without adding unnecessary burden if it's not required based on your organizational input. The first step is looking at some of the rules. One of the powerful things, again, within the Infoblox family of products is embedding a lot of expertise. And having these rules here is a perfect example of that. There's over hundreds of different rules that you can pick out of the box or you can customize based on your individual requirement. And one of the great things about this is we've taken the expertise and built it in for you. We've leveraged standards such as PCI, DISA, STIG, NSA, IVA standards, and we've built these policies and these rules in the platform to make it very simple and very easy for you to deploy. You can deploy them as is, or you can go out and deploy them and customize them based on your individual requirements. So for example, I just picked a simple rule here that's based on DISA, and you can see all the different rule logic we put into the platform. Again, you can leverage this as is, or you can customize it. If I go up to another example, I can pick an example of a customization, and here's one with 7 different rule logic builders that I can leverage, again, out of the box, or if I want to, I can just actually go out and tweak it and modify it to meet your specific requirements. And as I mentioned, the rule is typically one requirement, and then policy is just grouping those different rules into defined standards. Again, things like PCI for the credit card and debit card industry. You see, for example, if I click on this one, I see all the different rules that I have to follow along the way, again, built in that I can leverage. I can also look at NSA, for example, and say, here are the different requirements for NSA, and what are some of their different requirements for best practices for maintaining a secure and predictable network. Or I can go in and do my own policy, like a training policy, or define my own policy based on what I want to do. Maybe I have a few different rules. But again, the powerful capabilities of the platform is the ability to leverage either the embedded expertise very quickly, very easily, or customizing it based upon your needs and building your own parameters. Again, things like PCI are built out of the box. For less defined standards, you can leverage things like DISA, STIG, IVA, other security best practices as a template to make sure you can prove success for both your internal requirements or for your external auditors. And then once I define my policies, I can deploy them across my different device groups. So if you go back to earlier in the demonstration, I showed you how you create a device group. Well, now I can pick my policies and say, for example, I want to have PCI DSS, and I want to deploy that on my routing, my security devices, and my Jacksonville and switching locations, and a few more. I can pick and choose, and I can apply those. And I can also do another policy. I can have my own policy that I've built and go to a smaller subset, and maybe it's just switching. And then all I do is deploy it, and then what the platform does is it monitors across your infrastructure 24/7, having continuous monitoring. And of course, I can do it by policy or by device group. So when I change the look around, I can see which device group and which ones meet which policies. So I want to look for a routing, for example, I can see which policies I have applied to my routing protocols. So again, the flexibility and the ease of use makes it very easy to look at the information from different perspectives to make sure you have a complete view of what you're doing across your infrastructure. And one of the other key capabilities is not just building the rules and deploying the rules, it's on the continuous monitoring of the rules across your infrastructure. And what the platform does is make it very simple to follow a logical process. Once you define the rules and define what policies you want to have to which devices, you can match the configurations against those best practices or desired state. So if you remember earlier in the demo and you saw the configuration collection piece, we'll take the configuration, we'll compare it to your desired state or your rule or your policy and see if it matches yes or no. If it matches, everything's fine, you're great to go. If there is a violation, we'll flag it and put it on our issue list. So for example, you can see here I have a policy violation for DISA, another policy violation for NSA, and so forth, and we'll bring it right to your attention. In addition, the powerful part about the change in configuration management is by detecting every change and grabbing every new configuration, anytime there's a change, we'll automatically grab the configuration and compare it and do this continuously. It really reduces the amount of manual time and effort I have to do if you want to do this through a review process and doing it every time a change does occur. But tracking the issue just isn't enough. A simple click will allow me to drill down and see which devices have violated that policy. I can very easily scroll down and see all the different devices that have failed the NSA 1.1c policy, for example, and I have the ability to drill down and make decisions whether I want to fix it, whether I want to remediate it, or whether I want to ignore it. And again, I can always do a right mouse click on any device and get much more detail on exactly what is going on with that individual device. So now I have all the detailed information, and this is done continuously 24/7 with all defined rules, all defined policies, tracking all the changes, and matching that configuration to make sure your desired state is matching your as-is state. And also one of the biggest headaches is proving success for auditors in doing the reporting. So if I click on the Report tab, it'll highlight a very easy way to show reports to your auditors and prove success. There are many different reports, from asset reports to configuration and change report. I'm going to drill down to the compliance view, and you can see some standard reports we have built in, whether it's credentials, ISO 2702, PCI, policy compliance details, policy compliance summary, as well as the ability to create your own customized report. But say, for example, I want to do PCI, I can just run this report. I can pick my date or my time period and pick my entire network or a subset of devices and add it, and then do run. And now the report's running in the background, and it's going to bring up all my detailed information from a PCI perspective. Again, the best part about this is it's available for you on demand or scheduled, and I have all of the information at my fingertips right away. Instead of going out and doing all this one by one, device by device, time and time again, I have all the information whether I pass or fail, and I can drill down into more specific details. Or I could pick different reports to give me different views. So for example, I could do a policy compliant detail to get much more details on exactly what has failed a policy violation. So again, if I pick my entire network for a period of a day, and I can pick which different policy I might want to look for and get much more detail on it, and I'll pick my PCI again, for example. And again, the report's running in the background. It'll process up, and now I can see all my specific details, not just at a high level did I pass or fail, but exactly what did fail and what was the issue and what different locations. So armed with this information, now your network administration team can actually go back out, fix these policy violations, and get them resolved so you don't have any issue the next time the audit does occur. And again, one of the best things about the compliance piece of the network automation platform is doing this 24/7. We're not looking for a one-time snapshot to prove success once every year. This is doing continuously to make sure your network stays secure, make sure it stays compliant, which really reduces a lot of the security risk you do have by having no unintended consequences. And again, a standard predictable network is typically much more secure, but also much more reliable from an infrastructure point of view.